In context to the construction of the Crimson album, this definitely has the feeling of being a concluding piece. I read the title, Fading Like a Flower, and it has a soft presence to what otherwise is a very metal-heavy release. So I do wonder, again, if it's sort of the piece that's intended to wrap things up and to give this feeling of closure. I don't know, maybe it could be a pretty heavy piece. I'm not exactly sure. You know, VOLTURIAN has produced a bit of a mix in terms of their sound, but I've been very impressed with Crimson thus far. You know, and I said long ago my intention was to cover VOLTURIAN in a greater focus and get a first impression. At this point, I have consulted 5 of their pieces in total from Crimson. This is the last one I'll do for right now before I move on to their present album, Red Dragon. I've been very happy with what I've heard. And again, like I said, I figured I would anyway, because my first introduction via Mortemia's collaboration with lead vocalist Federica Lana through the Madonna cover of her song Frozen, I was really impressed with her vocal set. Then I figured, okay, it'll be enjoyable to listen to her again. I don't really have any Italian artists on my playlist. So, you know, as much as I perused around the European metal scene, and some of you who follow my content, specifically in regards to my music coverage, you know how much I revere this space. For me, I'm like, okay, I haven't looked at Italy yet in focus. I should consult it immediately. I should give myself at least one group to, you know, harken back to if there's such a point to say, hey, I made my way around the country universally, by every country, and I've considered VOLTURIAN. And I've been quite impressed with at least at this point 5 works in total. Those being New Life, Haunting Symphony, Broken, The Killing Joke, and In a Heartbeat. Wonderful group. I love the scope of their pieces. And in terms of being a metalhead, of course, I always gravitate to that. But the energy of their pieces, some of the harshness, they have a bit of a varied sound and pacing in some of their tracks. It depends on the piece and the mission of it. But I do like their overall constructions. I like the electronic emphasis. That's really unique in terms of some of the bands I've covered. But I like the presence to this group a lot. I mean, they really are a dynamic listen that, of course, I'm excited to listen to more. And this, again, like I said, is the concluding work. So I wonder, again, if this is sort of going to have a dramatic energy, if it's going to be softer in the delivery to best match the name. I don't know. First impression, I'm just going on a summation here of what I can consider right now. But let's look at the track at a deeper level and get a first introduction. Maybe for some of you that will, in fact, be the case to the group generally. I think you'll be pleased with them if you are a metal fan and you like, perhaps, some metal groups, maybe even headed around as much as I have into the European scene. Maybe you haven't at all, and you want to find where perhaps there's obscure talents hiding in the world, but maybe you don't know that destination point. I hope through my music coverage, as I broaden out this space on my channel, I've wanted to for a long time, and it's finally succeeding in my ambition. I hope in part that I can introduce you to pathways, I can forge them for you perhaps, to exposing yourself to new talent that you will cling to. And VOLTURIAN, I would believe, based on what I've heard, is one such that you will have that emotion if you haven't experienced some of their bedazzling work yet. Fading Like a Flower, let's get a good introduction. I have the video pulled up to accompany the piece, and if you are unfamiliar with the way I format my content here, specifically music focus, I try and accommodate listener taste however best I can. So if you're somebody that likes to read along with the lyrics, I will provide those in the video for you, and they'll proceed with the song in time of the song's procession. Anyway, Fading Like a Flower. Here we go. Very similar to all their other works, that electronic opener. Bit heavier than I thought. A little more emphasized and pronounced. Okay, a metal riff. Let's see. I like the drop of the guitar. It's kind of interesting in terms of the beginning. Let's see if it comes back and returns, because then we're on a softer path. The song's mostly relying on that electronic basses and her vocals. I like the construction. There we go. I like the feeling of this. It's a bit more positive. It feels like I've been an uplifting iteration. It is a little more aggressive than I anticipated in terms of the guitar energy. A bit heavier. Not bad though at all. That step down on Hideaway is really interesting. Like, it doesn't match the key exactly, but I find it so unique. It works. It's a specific choice. It almost feels like in context to Crimson, this is like a cover in styling, because the story in itself is kind of unique. It's interesting.
Every time I see you, I try to hide away, but where we meet, it seems I can't let go. Every time you leave the room, I feel I'm fading like a flower. Every time I see you, I try.
Last measure key change. Okay. Well, that sounded really interesting there. Like it's such an abrupt switch. But it's a specific choice on part of Linda Toni Grande, or not Linda, sorry. Here we go, mixing up European vocalists again. Federica Lana. It's an individual choice, and with her musical prowess in terms of being an independent singer and the work she's put into her voice, it's a methodical choice. It's obvious to me. I find it quite adventurous. I like that. It's a good piece, good ballad. And it does feel like a bit of a closing piece, even though it's so unique in its personality. Again, that step down in regard to the hideaway whenever that chorus is sung is really interesting. Like, it's such a unique contribution. But if you look into the background of Federica Lana, I won't make this mistake again. Linda Toni Grande, that was a complete accident. I love Linda Toni Grande, but again, like I said, it's very easy if you venture into the European space as deeply as I have to start mixing up artists. We're speaking about Federica Lana here. Anyway, if you look into Federica's background in regards to artistic talents, I did look on her website that it said like she was doing vocal lessons as well. Like if you're, I guess in the area, I'm not in Italy, and I'm not really a singer. Like I don't want to hear my voice, but I refer back to children's theater on that one. Boy, that was a nightmare of a memory. Anyway, I did self-training. It's called deepening immensely. I would believe, again, based on what I hear in that song, it was a specific choice on part of her vocals, and it's such an interesting contribution. Like, it's abrupt, it dissociates you at least for a minute because you're kind of following along. It seems like such an, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a better word than abrupt. It's attention-getting, but then it starts to flow, like when you really hear it and you realize that there is this personality to the song that is quite unique. And in terms of the band, it puts them in an interesting space, I have to say. I mean, not just in the fact that, again, I can attribute the, Italian origin or European metal name, if I want to, or the identity, but I really find it to be such an interesting choice. And the song in itself, like I said, is beautifully constructed. It's got that wonderful energy to it that kind of has that elevated feel. It's a little more uplifting. It's a good conclusion. Works well for me. It's a good summation, I think, of the album, even if, again, it dips at least in the introduction. I find it a little more aggressive, and that's sort of the song for the majority of the time, at least in the intro sections, is maintained in part by an electronic beat and Federica Lana's vocals in a more emphasized presentation. I thought it was good. In regards to being an outro, it feels like it sums up what I've heard of Crimson, though I can't say, again, the entirety. I've not heard tracks 1, 7, 8, or 9. I'm going to listen to those on my own, but I wanted to cover a good sampling, as I said, and I thought that was good, I think it's a great concluding piece. It didn't go the way I thought, and yet it kind of did, in part. It's subverting and yet tracking in terms of my perception of it, and my presumption is what I mean of where it would follow. What are your guys' thoughts with Fading Like a Flower? I think the scope of the story, too, it's got a nice illustration, good style, even though I did feel like in terms of the territory of what I've seen them write in regards to their lyrical constructions, it comes across a bit more unique in terms of a storyline, but I kind of like it. It's a very visual piece. Quite easy to picture in your mind. Let me know your thoughts down below. For those of you who perhaps, again, if this is a fresh talent to you, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And if Volturian is a familiar name, what is your favorite piece on Crimson? Where do you think this best fits in regards to your ranking? I'd love to hear down below if you feel so inclined to disclose your perspective. Like I said, this is not the end of Volturian coverage of what you'll be seeing in near future. I will be spotlighting 2 more of their works from Red Dragon. Again, I'm judging by the music videos that they've released in terms of my selection of tracks that I'm covering, and I can't wait to spotlight the next 2. Again, I've had a great introduction thus far of Volturian, and I'm really excited to continue that going forward. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.